Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to my 2019 Stanley Cup playoff predictions. This is who I think is going to win the Stanley Cup and every round of the playoffs. So we're just going to get straight into it with the Western Conference. Our first matchup is the Calgary Flames and the Colorado Avalanche. This is going to be a really good series, but Calgary has been dominant throughout this season, and I think it's pretty safe to assume that the Calgary Flames are going to win. So there's our first win, Calgary over Colorado. Our next matchup is the San Jose Sharks and the Vegas Golden Knights. Last year, the Golden Knights went to the Stanley Cup Finals in their inaugural season, and I do think they still have that playoff spark, being the newest team in the NHL. So I'm going to say they beat the San Jose Sharks. Our next matchup is the Nashville Predators and the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars are a good team, but being a wildcard team, I think they will come out short against the Nashville Predators. So we're going to pick Nashville there. Winnipeg Jets and St. Louis Blues. Both these teams are amazing, and if the Blues could win this, I feel like they could easily make it to the Stanley Cup Final, which would be nice, but I think their first round is the hardest potential round that they have, and I think the Jets will come out on top for them. So we're going to take the Jets playing Nashville in the second round. So let's go over to the Eastern Conference. Tampa Bay Lightning and Columbus Blue Jackets. Tampa Bay Lightning tied the most wins in a season this year, and I think that's going to be hard to beat, especially for a wildcard team. So we're going to pick the Lightning. I don't think it's possible for the Lightning to lose in the first round. That's a crazy idea. So I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Lightning. Boston and Toronto. Now this is probably the most anticipated round. Everybody's wondering if Boston's going to do it again, like they did last year, like they did in 2013. Toronto has had a very bad month in March, but so has Boston. They've both not been playing their best, but I think if they both play to an even skill level, I think Toronto will come out on top just because of their elite offense and decent goaltending when Freddie Anderson is playing good. So I'm going to pick the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. Going down to the Washington Capitals and the Carolina Hurricanes. I feel like the Hurricanes have had a really good season, but so has Washington. Washington being the reigning champs, but I do believe this will be the only wild card team winning, and I'm going to take the Carolina Hurricanes in this round. The New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins. This has been a really fun season for Islanders fans, losing John Tavares to the Toronto Maple Leafs, but still coming out second in their division. But I do think the Pittsburgh Penguins are a more elite team, winning 2 cups in a row 2 years ago and 3 years ago. And I just think they have more potential in the playoffs. They still have Crosby, they still have Malkin, they still have that core that took them to 3 Stanley Cups. So I'm going to pick the Pittsburgh Penguins here. Going back over to the West, we have the Calgary Flames and the Vegas Golden Knights. The Flames have had a really good season, but like I said, the Golden Knights still have that spark of being the newest team and doing so well last year, going to the Stanley Cup Finals. So I'm going to pick the Vegas Golden Knights here. Going down to Nashville and Winnipeg. Winnipeg has had a very good season. Not a very good half after the trade deadline, but I do think they are a better team in general than the Nashville Predators. So we're going to take the Winnipeg Jets. Going over to the East, Tampa Bay Lightning, Toronto Maple Leafs. This is not going to be an easy series for either team, but I think the underdog is going to win here, and the Toronto Maple Leafs will go to the conference finals. To the Carolina Hurricanes and the Pittsburgh Penguins, I do think this will be a very tough matchup, especially for the Hurricanes, seeing how elite the Penguins are. They've been here before. They've won 3 Stanley Cups. They're a very elite team, and I do think they're going to pull ahead above the Carolina Hurricanes here. So now the conference finals for the West, we have the Vegas Golden Knights and the Winnipeg Jets. We have a 2 in 4 chance of a Canadian team finally winning the Stanley Cup, and I do think that's going to be a good chance with the Winnipeg Jets winning the conference finals over the Vegas Golden Knights. I think they are going to represent the West very well in the Stanley Cup Stanley Cup Finals, sorry. And now for the conference finals in the East, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Pittsburgh Penguins. As I said, we have to see if a Canadian team finally wins, and I think that will happen with the Toronto Maple Leafs going to the Stanley Cup Finals. So yes, I do think the Stanley Cup Finals will be the Winnipeg Jets versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now we have to see who will win this. It's a very tough decision. They're both very good teams. They haven't had the greatest season after the trade deadline, but I do think both of them will show up in the playoffs. And in my opinion, I think the Toronto Maple Leafs will win the Stanley Cup. For goals scored in the Stanley Cup Finals, I'm just going to go with a nice high number because I do believe this will be a really good high scoring final. So that is my prediction. Toronto Maple Leafs win in 6 games in the Stanley Cup Final. Now we have to pick our bonus round for only the first round. So I'm going to say Calgary wins over Colorado in 6 games. The Golden Knights win over the San Jose Sharks. I'd say in 7 games. That's going to be a very tough matchup. Nashville over Dallas. I think this is going to be very easy for Nashville, but I don't think Dallas will be swept. And Winnipeg over St. Louis. I think this will also go to 5. I think this will be a fairly easy matchup for the Jets. Tampa Bay over the Blue Jackets. I don't think the Blue Jackets have a very good chance of even winning a game in the playoffs, so I'm going to say they get swept by the Lightning. Toronto over Boston. That will easily go 7 games. Carolina over Washington. I do think that'll go 7 games. It'll be a hard matchup for Carolina. It's Pittsburgh over New York. New York is a good team, but Pittsburgh, I think, is just generally better. So I'm going to pick 6. And that's the bracket. I do think the Toronto Maple Leafs will win the Stanley Cup Finals.